dig that crazy chick.
Oh, wear short shorts. We wear short shorts. Wear short shorts. We like short shorts.
Okay, here we are where part 8 left off. I had part 8 ready to go. A couple weeks ago I got ready to pull it up to finish it up and publish it, but my external hard drive, it's a 1 terabyte drive, froze up on me. I called a couple of places around to get an estimate on what it would cost to recover the data, and it ran anywhere from $500 to $1,500. So don't look for part 8 to be coming to your nearest YouTube kid anytime soon. So let's start with part 9. Get a little bit more light on the subject. Okay, here's a look at the carburetors, the 3 carburetors. And when I put that distributor in, that DUI, this guy right here, I had to move my power steering over. I'll go over that after a while. Okay, now with the tri-carb setup, I had to reset the pressure lines on the AC, and because I used the hooker headers, I had to move the AC unit, the compressor unit over. So I'll cover that in a little bit. Also, on the low side, I'm going to have another plan made and have this thing spun 180 so that it will connect right here. Okay, here you can get a reasonable idea of the carburetor linkage. It's progressive. It's the front one, and each carburetor has a spring, a return spring. So you get about half throttle on the center carburetor, and then these little locking devices kick in and they push the front and the rear carburetor open. It's a pretty good little setup. Okay, let's give the young lady a start. Not too bad. Okay, I'll just close that hood. Okay, here we can see the front carburetor and the clearance between it and the bottom of the hood. It's about a 1/4 inch, so it looks real good. Also, before I forget it, on that front carburetor filter, I cut that filter down to where it is 1 3/4 inches high. And basically what I did was I cut that black rubber section off of the top. I did guarantee that I had a good clearance when I closed that hood. Also, the center carburetor has the same clearance as your motor would have if it was a stock motor. And of course that back carburetor, it has enough clearance you could probably stick the Eiffel Tower on top of it. Okay, here I installed an auxiliary transmission cooler. I pulled the transmission cooling lines out of the radiator and ran them straight through this auxiliary cooler. And I did that because here in Arizona, the summers can get pretty warm. And I'm running an AC on a straight 6, so this will help relieve some of the the heat pressure on the cooling system. Okay, here after I had adjusted the power steering mounting bracket, I end up with a 1/4 inch, a little over a 1/4 inch clearance between the mounting bracket and my transmission auxiliary cooler. And I'm pretty sure that's enough room. Actually, I could have increased that if I had planned it a little better. Okay, here on my power steering mount, the top mounting hole, I moved it 1.25 inches. Probably could have gotten by with 1.1 inches for sure. And the center mounting bolt, I drilled out and came down a 1/8 inch. And on the bottom bolt, I just elongated that hole just a little bit, just enough for everything to line up right. And it worked out pretty good. Okay, here I moved the AC mount over 1 5/8 inches. And at A there is 2 round spacers, it's 1 5/8 inches. And B, I put a splice in there, 1 5/8 inches. And then up on the top mount that you can see here, I also put a splice in there, 1 5/8 inches. And it worked out pretty good. It allowed the front carburetor to fit okay with its linkage, and it allowed for the headers. So it worked out pretty good. Okay, here's the biggest change that I made to my total project. I took my 200 head off and the 3-carb manifold, intake manifold off, and replaced it with a 250 head and a 3-carb manifold that goes with the 250 head. And what that did, it gave me the clearance I needed, the hood clearance that I needed, so that I could keep the original Ford carburetors. And the only close fit is the front carburetor. And I really wanted to keep my stock hood, the original hood. This whole car is original with some of the exceptions that I've done to the engine. And I just wanted the eye candy, wanted to be able to lift the stock hood up on a straight 6 and see the eye candy. And that's what this whole project for me is all about. And so far now, it's turned out pretty good. Okay, here you get a better look at the linkage. You can see the front carburetor linkage, and just to the right there, you can just barely make out the orange return spring. Then you have the center linkage, and with its return spring, I'll probably come back and dress it up a little bit. And then the rear carburetor with its return spring. And the way I adjusted it was I held the center carburetor wide open, full throttle. Then I took those little stops that you see here, and I moved those, adjusted those till each of the front and rear carburetor was wide open. And then when I released the linkage, it brought the center carburetor where I was pretty close to mid-throttle before it kicked in the front and the rear carburetor. So I think it's worked out pretty good for me. And there you have it. This is just a look from the left side. I have a chrome valve cover, but darn chrome valve cover didn't have this little heater hose gadget there, and I really wanted to keep that. So I decided that an orange valve cover with my original heater hose clamp is better. Anyway, it looks good to me. Now, on that center breather, on the center carburetor for the breather, I took a 64 Falcon air breather and I cut it. What you see here, cut the top out, and then cut the bottom out, then I polished it off, made it kind of smooth and neat, and it works real good. The only thing I have left to do now is put the bodywork back together, get my AC up and running, renew my tags, get some insurance, and make sure my tires are okay, and I'm good to go.